The funny thing is, I think when we buy things, there are emotions involved. Think about let's say you go to your favorite toy store, whatever that is. Maybe it's a
Apple Store.
yeah, what right, and you leave with something, and you get in the car with it, and you're scolding yourself because you're saying, "Gosh, I shouldn't have done this, but I wanted it, and I did it." Right, and then the whole ride home, you try to intellectually justify your
Yeah,
emotional purchase.
yeah,
Right? Does that happen?
all the time.
Well, I had to buy it. I had a coupon. It
Hmm.
was on sale. It was the only one they had in blue. You'll come up with all of these different reasons, and that's why you justify your emotional sales.
Mr. Whitehall,
Freddie, how you doing?
what's up, buddy?
Doing great, man. It's good to be here. It's my second time.
You're a twofer.
A twofer. Yeah. I want to be in the five timers
Yeah,
club.
you just mentioned that, like SNL. You said I didn't know that there was a thing.
Yeah. Maybe you can have a T-shirt with five on it and a
That'd be cool. I'd do something like
separate
that.
little lounge with Joe McCookie in there tending bar or something like that.
Well, we do have a liquor cabinet in the back. In this place. I mean, look, it's marketing, but it's like I always wanted it to be like Mad Men minus the whole like, treating the women like crap thing.
Yeah.
But everything else I wanted, like the bar cart, the ice, clients come in expecting a drink.
Right.
That sounds good, like a good time to me.
Right. You've got it going on
I
here.
know, but it's marketing, so I guess maybe because it's not advertising.
Yeah.
Not allowed to drink on the clock. How you been, bro?
I've been great.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. You and I go back a ways.
2016
Yeah.
ECNA days.
ECNA.
Oh,
Yeah.
geez, yeah, that was the beginning of me getting out of the basement.
Yeah. I remember
Time
that.
ago.
I remember that. And we had a bonding moment after I did some sort of a 20-minute talk or something like that. I remember the next week you sat down next to me in real quiet voice and you speak dude and so do I. And you said, dude, with like the most exquisite tonality, dude, we gotta talk.
Well, that was the beginning of a great relationship because you hooked me up with a bunch of sales stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you invited me to your mastermind club and this other club, and it was on Wednesdays, and I would go frequently in the beginning. And I tell a lot of people, man, like I didn't think I was bad at selling when I met you, but I didn't know any better.
Right.
And then you hooked me up with those classes, and everything changed.
Changed everything.
Just like a switch went off, and I started seeing better results. Like not just, I guess, with clients, but within myself.
Yeah. Well, the thing about the training that I do, it isn't just selling. It's just great to have walking around in life and being
Yeah.
able to identify why people react or behave a certain way.
It's almost like what, psychology, kind of.
Yeah. It's a little of that.
Yeah, I hate car salesmen
Oh, I
because of
do
your
too.
class.
Well, if there's a Mount Rushmore of poor sales behavior, one of the faces is guaranteed to be a car salesman.
Yeah.
And there's probably a realtor, an insurance guy, and then
Marketer guy.
No, the guys I like right now are the furniture guys, right? And
Oh.
yeah, they roam around the furniture store and they've got a
Yes.
gigantic clipboard. It's on the clipboard. I just want to know.
Is there sales?
I don't know what it is, but they all have an inch thick clipboard that they seem to be bonded to, and it must have all the answers. I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know.
crazy because they do walk. Yeah, you know what? You make a good point. My last experience buying my truck, it wasn't the most favorable of experiences. Only until after did I realize like certain things happened during that transaction where I'm like, fuck. Like I was like, shit, I fucked up again.
If I could
so mad at
rewind
myself.
the conversation,
I know.
would have. Yeah,
Not even that. Like Dom was like, I was talking to Dom and he was, it was supposed to be bought through my company, and I was like, yeah, because I don't want it on my, FXV pays for it. And FXV does pay for it, but they still put me on the loan. So now it's on my personal credit profile.
Oh, wow.
And exactly. And then Dom talked to one of his buddies. He was like, yeah, sometimes they do that stuff on purpose, just to like rope you in for some reason or something. I'm like, and I was also mad about the fact that I brought in the truck that I purchased from them. The only reason why I purchased the last truck is because of COVID. My lease ran out and I couldn't get another truck because we all know the story.
Right.
And they wouldn't even give me like the equal amount. It's like they had to win and gave it to me for like $200 or $300 less. And I was like, fucking car salesman. Then of course I thought of John Whitehall. right away. I was like, she have fucking called John. You know what I mean? I was just so pissed off at the whole
Well,
situation.
it's funny. I gave a talk for an organization a couple of weeks ago, and I was talking about buying cars, and the best deal that I ever drove on a car, probably an '88 or '89 Dodge minivan, and I drove the best bargain ever. Why? I didn't want the car. I had no emotional attachment to the car. It was going to be our second loser cruiser. And the first one was literally a rolling dumpster. When we traded it in, it was worth, virtually nothing, and we were going to go do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the best deal I ever got. Now, I've had bad deals where I just walk in and, oh my God, it's the only one they have in red. I want it. How fast can I buy it?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So people assume that because I have a strong sales background that I always win. No, I commit the same emotional mistakes that everybody else does.
Yeah, emotion comes big into play for me with, I think, every purchase I make. Anything that's not like normal. Like I'm emotionally invested in certain things. Forget it. I don't care how much it costs. I don't care how long it's going to take me to pay off.
Right.
Like this truck.
I want it.
Yeah, that's it. I had to order it.
Yeah.
And I think once I ordered it, I think I was in it. And I'm in it for 6 years. I don't know.
Yeah. And I've seen your truck. And if Darth Vader had a Dodge Ram, it would be yours. It is sinister.
I know. I love it, though. It's definitely the one thing I bought for myself that was just, it was ridiculous.
Very cool.
Definitely was. But I don't give a shit.
Yeah, very cool.
Fuck it.
The funny thing is, I think when we buy things, there are emotions involved. Think about, let's say you go to your favorite toy store, whatever that is. Maybe it's
Apple store.
Yeah, right. And you leave with something, and you get in the car with it, and you're scolding yourself because you're saying, "Gosh, I shouldn't have done this, but I wanted it, and I did it." Right. And then the whole ride home, you try to intellectually justify your emotional purchase.
Yeah.
Right. Does that happen?
All the time.
Well, I had to buy it. I had a coupon. It was on sale. It was the only one they had in blue. You'll come up with all of these different reasons, and that's why you justify your emotional sales.
Yeah, it's crazy because a good friend of mine, Javier, on Facebook, he bought something for his motorcycle, and he was like, "Oh, I gotta remember to leave my wallet at home when I come to the Harley Davidson dealership." And right away, I wrote in this profile, I'm like, "Don't feel bad about you spending some money, on yourself. Like, enjoy the spoils of your success."
Yeah.
That's the whole point of it, and even he commented, "Thank you for saying that, man." It's like, yeah, dude, fuck it. His kids are older. He's done his job, has a successful business, and now he rides a motorcycle. He just bought a bag for it. Now, I'm sure the bag probably costs a few bucks, but I'm like, bro, whatever, dude. Like,
without it, it's a bike that doesn't have a bag.
Right. Where's the storage?
Right.
Are we justifying it?
I had to.
Where are you going to put the booze? Because he's like, he's a bartender for like private events.
Yeah.
He's a great dude. But yeah, everybody does that still. Even like to this day when I talk to Jill about certain things, it's just like, oh, because of this, because of that. And I still tell her, I'm like, I don't care. You work hard for your money, buy whatever the hell you want.
Yeah.
Done and done. You can't take it with you.
Well, every time my wife goes to King of Prussia, visits Nordstrom's or one of those stores, she always will come home and she'll have that emotional or that intellectual, I bought these on sale. I couldn't believe it. These were half price. And I'm thinking everything she buys must be on sale. At least that's what she tells me.
It's like Kohl's. You're going to Kohl's, look at the price tags. That's a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, right.
It's like normal price is $350 for these pair of sneakers, but right now it's only $150.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, those things should be $100.
Well, it was the same thing when the outlets were in town, right?
Right.
They had markdown after markdown after markdown, and whatever the lowest sticker was on the pair of pants you were buying, that's what you paid.
Right.
Yeah. So who knows if there was trickery going on with
It's always trickery going on.
Stickers switching and things like
It's
that.
like, they should be $20, man. Why were they originally $100?
Yeah, yeah. But it's funny when you talk about selling, unless we've had some sort of training, we sell the way we've been sold to.
That's interesting.
Think about it.
Yeah.
The reason we're lousy at it is we picked it up off the streets.
Right? Well, I guess depends on where you've been
hanging
out.
Right. Right. Well, right. And that will, but think about it. When you walk into any store and a retail representative Notice I'm being kind. Retail representative walks up to you and says, "Hi, can I help you?" What's your first thing that you're going to say?
I'm good.
I'm good. Just
Yeah, just
looking.
browsing.
Just looking. Right, right, right. And then they say, "Well, let me show you this," or "I'll be right over here if you need me." That type of
Classic.
stuff, right? Or if you're in a situation where they're trying to close you, you're going to say, "I'm going to think it over." All those different things to kind of get yourself out of that trap. Because as a buyer, we tend to want to make decisions without the help of the salesperson. I always say when you send somebody a blind proposal, you're allowing them to make a decision about you without you. They want to make that decision in a vacuum. And we all know when we send out a proposal, right? We all go to the last page and see what the number is.
Right.
And based on that number, we live or die.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little bit, we mimic the behaviors that are around us. And so what we try to do is break the pattern, do a pattern interrupt. What do we do that makes us different or even memorable? What is it that we want people to remember about us?
That's interesting. Do you think you tend to make the decisions that you want your clients to make when you give them proposals? Like, for example, like when I give somebody a proposal and it's X amount of dollars, and I just want you to jump on and say, yes, this is what I want you to do. I find myself making bigger decisions on my own quicker because that's what I want my clients to do, as opposed to like sitting there and thinking it over and ba.
Oh, how interesting that they mirror your behaviors.
Right.
Yeah, I think that absolutely goes on.
Yeah, it's crazy because I remember I only am bringing that up because years ago we had to buy a new HVAC system. And this guy came in, gave me a good, little once over, and he was like, "It's going to cost this much." And I was like, "All right, great, sounds good." My wife was like, "Hold on a minute." She put the brakes on. I was like, "We're going to talk to a few other people." I was like, "Okay," and I felt like embarrassed for a second because she told me like no in front of the guy or whatever. But then I realized, yeah, that was dumb, dude. Why were you so quick to just like jump into bed with this company? And then that's why I'm wondering if I try to mimic what I want other people to do. So,
I think sometimes it depends on what the urgency is, what the pain is, more or less. If you're, the example that I love is you wake up and it's February and it's 10 degrees outside and you go to jump in your shower and all of a sudden you don't have any hot water. What's the one thing you care about most?
Hot water at that moment.
Hot water, right? Not doing it 2 days in a row.
Right.
And in that kind of urgency, do we really care about who puts it in or what we pay? No, the only thing we care about is not having a repeat performance of a February cold shower morning.
Yeah, pain points are a big thing, at least for me. I try to always remember that. It's funny, man. When I think pain points, when I think about, breaking the pattern, being memorable, it's just, this is like, and pain points, I start teaching Will these things, but I don't teach him saying my friend John. I teach him because it's already in my DNA now. Since so many years of just doing what you've taught me.
Yeah.
And I try to pass it off to Will. I'm like, Will, you have to do it this way because, identify the pain points, man. You want to break the pattern. You want to do this and that. He's like, all right, thank you. Great idea. Great talk. And, it's really just you going through me.
Well, that's very flattering.
Yeah.
And disturbing at the same time.
It's true though, man. Because when, it's also just practicing those things, right?
Yeah.
Just constantly doing it. You can't do it once or twice and expect it to stick. Like always doing it, always going back to it. And it also means you should be going back to those things.
Mm-hmm.
Those selling tactics and how you do specific things with clients, because you'll forget after a while. You start thinking, oh, this is the new way to do things, and you got to reel yourself back in.
Yeah.
And do those ways of selling over again.
Yeah. Role playing is my favorite. I just love putting people in role play situations. I think it is the most practical way to learn. Somebody told me once long ago that if you say something or do a technique at least once, you're 9 times more likely to do it in a live situation.
Because you practiced.
Because you practice.
Even
And
just once,
when we
right.
practice, we create a very safe environment where nobody's embarrassed. It's very nurturing. And we want people to make mistakes. This is your practice field. This is where you get to do it over. And, have somebody who's across the table from you in your role plays challenge you a little bit and ask you maybe the questions that you're afraid you're going to hear. right? Because you know you're going to hear those questions when you're in front of somebody in a live situation.
Yeah, we did that. We did that in one of your classes. I remember I was doing it back to back with Rick
Yeah.
Allenbach. I remember that. And I don't remember what I said at the end, but I remember being so proud of my brain working that day because he was coming at me with some things. And then I was like, and I just was able to give him a rebuttal every time. And the final one was like the best one where everybody was like, oh shit, like that was a good.
Drop
and I
the
was
mic.
like, there you go, buddy. You know how to fucking sell.
That's
You know
right.
what I mean? And I
That's
wish I
right.
could remember it, but it's true though with the role playing and even practicing things because people, it's funny. Here it is. I did that website thing. Like last year, I was doing those little things in my office. People come over and learn about website tactics, whatever.
Mhm.
The first time I did it, crash and burn, even though I was looking at the papers and I figured I know what I was doing. You're talking to a man who's been doing this for over 20 years.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. I'm good. I feel like I crashed and burned wasn't the most greatest thing. And I actually had to ask people in the group that talked to other people to get real responses to how I did. Because everybody was just nice to me. It was great.
What
It
else
was
are they going to
awesome.
say?
Right. And I tried
Right.
to talk, they were like, oh my God, this guy dragged on forever. And it's like, Jesus Christ, I was falling asleep. And you could see it in people's faces.
Yeah.
So I did the next one and I totally practiced it in here.
Mhm.
I was in the area in the conference room, put it on the TV and did the whole thing front to back and thought about what people were talking about the last one. Did the whole thing over, did it again that evening. Boom. It like hit,
Yeah.
you know, and even my wife was at that session. She was like, I never knew you knew so much about websites and all this was involved and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I was like,
And you said it in a way that people could understand and relate
Right.
to. Yeah.
but you got to practice.
Yeah, you
You
have to
can't,
practice.
you know, like if you can wing it, good for you. Like more power to you, but not me. I thought I could.
Yeah.
That's Mr. Macho. I know what the hell I'm talking about. Full of shit. No, I did the practicing and
Well, you do, but you have to say it. You've got to go through at least a dress rehearsal of sorts.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny you bring that up. So one of the first things you and I did, you had me do a 30-second commercial on video. And this is a guy who teaches people how to write and
Yeah.
recite 30-second commercials. I remember we were there an hour and a half or 2 hours, and you had to leave and come back
Yeah.
because we still didn't get it right.
Yeah.
Right.
I remember that.
So, and again, you have to practice and practice and practice. And they say that the rule of thumb is that you have to say something aloud in front of somebody 25 times before it'll truly become your own. 25 times. So you know what I tried to do? I tried to do it once in front of 25 people, and the math doesn't scale the same way.
No, it doesn't,
Yeah.
bro.
But it's funny because just this past Friday, I was filming a 30-second commercial, a new 30-second commercial that I had just written, and I thought, wow, I can wing this, right?
Yeah.
Didn't go so well. I probably had 60 takes over, some of them were like 3 seconds, 4 seconds long because I would just stumble right out of the gate. And then there were others that went to 28 seconds and then I blew it at the end. And it finally got one that's good. But I think videotaping these things is one of the greatest tools we
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
You and I both know it. It's always jarring when you see yourself on video and hear your voice and so forth. But after you do 50 takes, you get kind of over that, and then you start looking at things
That's
a little
the thing,
bit more
right?
objectively. Yeah.
That's actually a better way of putting it because I'll talk to people and they're always like, I don't want to be on video. I'm like, listen, if I can do it,
Yeah.
anybody can do it. And it's reached the point now where it's like, you're right. I don't really care about anything at this point when it comes to me being on video. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
I'm over all the crappy details I used to put all over myself and like, this and that. That doesn't matter. You got to kind of get into that state of mind of just like, dude, just do it, and be better than the next guy.
Yeah. And it's okay to be have little imperfections, right? I think that makes us more real and more human.
More human for sure.
Yeah.
Human factor is a big deal.
No question about it.
Yeah, I think even my wife was reminding me that a couple nights ago. I put up a post of just me and her. We went to Riverview. They were celebrating 50 years over the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And we put up a picture of her and myself, and I look at my Instagram because I'm always checking to see how things are doing. And it's like, this post is doing 95% better than your other post. I'm like, look at that. And my wife was like, human factor? because I used to talk to her about human factor all the time.
Yeah.
She was like, human factor. She's like, you've been putting up so many things about just like marketing and work. Well, the work's not bad, but just a bunch of stuff that wasn't you,
Right.
you know? So
Right.
she's like, you got to
Right.
put yourself into these posts too. So, and that's the thing. Even a guy that's into marketing like me, you still make mistakes with like your own brand as far as like social media and what the content's supposed to be and yada, 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 yada.
I think a lot of times we're people who teach what we teach and train people and so forth. Sometimes we're a little bit like the landscaper whose lawn needs mowing.
Yes.
You know, that's sometimes we're awful good at training and coaching and assisting
Yeah.
others that we have to take a step back. And you know, I'm going through a lot of that right now.
Mhm.
You know, with my new venture. Yeah, I've had to identify things like ideal customers and do new 30-second commercials and a new bio and new pictures and new, and all of these different things that I teach and train people to do. I'm now eating my own dog food, if you will. I'm following the formula.
So what's the new venture, Mr. Whitehall? Fill us in.
So the new venture, we're going to be really focused on a couple of areas, and the new company is John Whitehall Sales and Management Consulting, and we're taking what I've learned in my 35 years of managing salespeople, and we're turning it into something different. And we're going to focus on companies that have sales organizations. We're going to focus on entrepreneurs and startups. I always love those people. Even the end of the alphabet generations, I love those folks too, because they ask me things I've never been asked before. And we're going to focus on training sales managers, because when you think about it, most companies will take their best salesperson and they'll have a vacancy and they'll promote them into the sales manager position. Now they've got real problems because they now have eliminated their number one salesperson and they've put him in a position where he may or may not succeed based on the skills that he has to manage people. The two jobs are completely different and they require different, how should you say, different abilities to service both roles. And we see company after company make this mistake. So I'm here to help companies make better decisions at that position. And then once we're in that position, teach them how to manage people, because they're no longer selling, they're managing people. And that's what I think people get wrong about management positions. They don't really understand what it is. It's getting people to do what you need them to do.
Right. Absolutely. Do you think it's a good idea to have someone that's your number one salesman become a sales manager?
Well, most of them will turn the job down because they don't want to take a pay cut.
Right.
You know, if
There's no more commission, right?
if they're really successful, they're probably making more than their sales manager. But some will want it because, you know, they like status, prestige, all those sorts of things. But when they get in that seat, they realize, ooh, nobody prepared me for this. This isn't what I've been doing for the last 5, 10, 12 years, whatever it is. This is something different. Nobody gave me a manual.
Right.
And
Like fatherhood.
Yeah. Yes, it is. And people are just thrust into this job and into this new position, into this new life. And, you know, without understanding how their actions come across to others and the things that they do, they really have to walk a different walk in order to gain respect in that position. It's also tough when you have one of your own get promoted and then have to be the boss to everyone he was friends with.
Right.
Yeah, I was once in that position, and I can tell you it was really different.
Yeah. Do you feel like people? I don't want to phrase this. Do you think people listen to you? You know what I mean? Or do you think it's quickly like, oh, you know, John's the boss now, so we're gonna get away with fucking everything? You know, do they want to test you more?
I think they always will test the new guy,
But more because they knew who you were, as opposed to just some brand new person.
Yeah, they're going to maybe, you know, we always got away with this. John's rules are going to be lax like the guy before, you know, and John's rules may not be.
Because he already knows what the guy before did.
The guy before worked himself right out of a job, so he wasn't doing the right things. You know, so people have to understand that change is inevitable and it's going to happen.
So how does it feel, man? You know, at well, I don't know how old you are, but
Old.
Okay. in
Old
your
enough.
old enough state. How does it feel to be like, you know what, starting something brand new, doing a brand new venture?
I've kind of, it was one of these things that over the holidays, I spent some time just kind of sitting and thinking about what it is I'm doing and where I'm going. And I look back over my life and the various careers, and for whatever reason, about every 15 years, I've completely shed my skin and moved on to something else. Well, this isn't quite 15 years, but it's 14. It's a push. It's close enough.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah. And so, where I was concerned, talking with my clients, talking with people I've worked with, talking with my family, most of all, talking with the chief decision maker, my wife, I was always so concerned about how people were going to feel and react. And I have to tell you, it was overwhelmingly positive. And when I got to the chief decision maker, Claudia, she said something like, "Well, what took you so long?"
Mm.
Yeah. So, at that moment, I felt like I had shed all of the anxiousness and so forth, and it's just been moving forward.
It's crazy, like how you'll feel when your wife backs you up. Like you have everybody in the world that will always have your side, have your back, and we love those people.
Yes, we do. Hmm.
But when your wife, like your number one cheerleader, says, "What took you so long?"
What took you so long?
It's just like then you just have that like extra
Yeah.
like adrenaline rush or something like, fuck yeah, I got my cheerleader behind me. Let's go.
Let's go.
That's
Right,
it,
right. The
dude.
gloves are off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You gotta have it because I know Claudia, strong
Mhm.
woman, likes to speak her mind, tells you how the fuck it is.
Oh, she sure does.
So, and my wife's the same way, she's just, she's the same way. So when you have strong women behind you, that's what makes it successful. But then when you try something new and they're like, yeah, fuck it, then you
Yeah.
feel unstoppable.
Yeah.
It's a good feeling.
Yeah. Well, you remember the story about when we left Ohio, right? That
No.
was a big deal. And,
Oh, wait. Okay.
yeah. And,
Go ahead.
And I said to my wife, she said to me actually at one moment, and it was a triggering phrase that changed everything. She said, "Promise me something, sweetheart." I said, "Anything, dear." "Promise me we're not going to die in Ohio." Okay. You remember that?
No, I do.
Yeah, now you do, right?
Uh-huh.
And so, and I just remember about a month after that coming home and saying, "I've got a plan. I'm going to have us home by Thanksgiving." And she rolls her eyes and says, "Yeah, sure." Right. It's one thing to say you're going to do something. It's another thing to prove it
Yes.
to that person who means so much to you. So,
But you know what? That's what inspires me not to fail.
yeah.
I mean, because I love my kids. I do whatever I can for my kids, but it's a different relationship between you and your children and you and your wife.
Yeah.
Totally different. I almost feel like you're allowed to make mistakes when it's your kids because they can't technically get rid of you.
Well, they're sure making a lot of them on their own.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, but they're just like, well, you're always going to be my dad. You know what I mean? With your wife, you're like, man, I can't fuck this up. I really got to get to that point where it's like,
You're right.
and I've set myself with that goal, 50, man, like 50. So I got 6 years. Got 6 years to figure this thing out.
Good for you.
So, but I think I say it out loud and I tell it to my wife all the time to be held accountable.
Yeah.
Because if I don't say that, then I have a reason to just be like, well, maybe 52 or maybe 60. Whereas like I'm telling Jill all the time, 50, I'm taking this trip and I'm done. Like it's not even just like retiring from, the everyday grind.
Mhm.
It's also that at 50, I'm taking this crazy trip, where I'm going to start in Australia and then go to New Zealand, then Fiji,
Good for
Hawaii,
you.
like just hopping back to the States. But I have to just keep saying it out loud. And I'm a big, like, I know some people are like faux pas about it, but I'm a big manifest guy,
Mhm.
putting it out into the universe. Because, man, there's just, my life, there's been so much evidence of when I needed something, thinking about it. And every day I was talking about it or whatever the case is. And it just
Right.
happens,
Right.
even with
Right.
the guys, like, keep talking about getting more help and I need the right person and this, and this. And Will kept coming to this place. Like what people don't know is that Will kept trying to get a gig here for like a year and a half or so. And he just kept missing me because I was doing everything. So I was at this meeting or that meeting
Right,
and back
right.
working and blah, blah, blah. And then finally one day came in and I was here. We had a great conversation. So I bring him on as an intern. He works here for 6 months. And I'm like, dude, I'm not letting you go. You're full time. And it just sucks that the universe sent them my way 40 times and I was just like nowhere to be found, just trying to deliver, and then I finally got Will, and then I got my intern now who I plan on bringing on full time when he's done he's in high school, 17-year-old. He's killing it.
Excellent.
Killing it. And he's a big data kid. I told him yesterday, your new nickname's going to be Data, like Revenge of the Nerds.
Yeah, right.
He's like, I don't even know what you're talking about. I'm like, I know because I'm old. And I was like, your name's going to be Data. And he loves, just like Johnny Five, input. He loves data. And I won't let him go either because I'm like, okay, I'm not going to let this be another Will situation. Like, I'm just going to bring him on right away. And I feel like it's because I kept saying to myself, I want to be done when I'm 50.
Mm-hmm.
Really want to start a new chapter at 50.
It's the next block.
So how do I get there? Oh, wait, I need good people. And then Will comes into my life. Luke comes into my life. And like, let's go. And I'm hoping that somebody else walks into that door. I just want to build like this ultimate team, And on top of all that, last night at my dinner table, looking at my phone. So my plan is 50, sell my business, go to Tampa. Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's the plan. I look at my phone. My friend Rich Zimmer had somewhat of a digital marketing business on Long Island, even more higher end. He did like stuff for like TV networks.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, hey, I did a thing today. I bought a place for my family. He's in Florida. And I commented right away. I was like, you are living my dream.
Yeah.
I hope to see you soon.
Yeah.
And he liked it, loved it. And I'm like, that guy's digital marketing.
He's doing it.
And he sold his business a year and change ago, I believe. And now he's in Florida. I'm like, that's exactly
fantastic.
So,
telling people, that's a great way to build in some accountability, right? Telling people that, hey, I want to do this, I want to do that. When you run into those folks, they're going to say, hey, how's that plan going?
Right. You don't want to say like, I suck.
Right. Or something like that.
Right. I got fucked up.
Yeah. So you create accountability by sharing your goals. And one of the things about goals that I think is very interesting, just by writing down your goals.
Yes.
You're 40% more likely to hit them.
Make it real.
You make it real. That's exactly right.
Yeah, I've said that for a solid 2 or 3 years now.
Yep.
I tell people, like, I still write things down in a notebook.
Yeah.
If I don't write them down in that notebook, they don't exist, man.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like text messages, right? Text messages and emails to an extent. But man, when I open up that notebook and I write down, John's website,
right?
Shit, I got to do it. If I don't write it down, it's like, oh, I'll get to it, or it's there,
Well, or many times it's a trail of breadcrumbs back to something you thought about
a
couple of weeks ago. So I don't journal in a real formal way, but I've got a book and every day has a page on it and I write all sorts of things in there.
It's cool, because even maybe in my way, that's my way of journaling, even writing the work down. And I find like old notebooks because I won't throw them away. I find old ones and I go through them like, man, you suck. Just looking at them like, you were terrible back then.
6 years ago, I can't believe what I was thinking about on October 6th.
Right.
I can't believe this little thing was bothering me.
Right. Or I was like, oh, that client worked out well.
Yeah.
Next page.
that
one's still with me. Or like, I remember that proposal. Yeah. It's almost like a little journaling, but not journaling. But it's nice to, go back and look at your life in certain days, which is why I kind of really still love Facebook in a way, just for the memories portion. Like, it showed me a memory yesterday from like 6 or 7 years ago, and I'm like, man. Or that was a great day.
Yeah.
Or, man, that guy's not with me anymore. Like all those little things that you think about. I'm really into that stuff. I'm very sentimental with a lot of things.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. After you and we had lunch a couple of weeks ago and we were talking about my business and website and things like that. It caused me to go back and look at my Facebook page, okay, which I last time I was there was probably pre-pandemic.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's when the fan of Facebook became a war zone.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, I've got 400 friends. who all wished me happy birthday, and I and I didn't respond to any of them. I
Yeah.
thought, wow, they must think I'm a real ass.
Right.
But you know,
Everybody knows though.
yeah, everybody knows I'm just not even driving that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They probably just said happy birthday to say it. They're probably just like, oh, I like him.
yeah. There's probably a click that they didn't even have to do it.
Right. So what's your goal with the new gig, man? What's your goal with the?
I want to build a practice of coaching sales managers and sales professionals.
Okay.
That's really been my space where I think I've had the most success. I've had clients who have been with me for many, many years, and we've been able to scale their businesses and help them achieve their goals. Coaching's a funny thing. There's a lot of people out there doing it, or at least saying they're doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what I find is you just have people who are great at holding conversations, and there's really no end game. There's really no goal. And if they get lucky, let's say I'm coaching you and you come up with just this most brilliant idea, okay, that I'll say, yeah, do that. I will claim that idea for my own.
Right.
This is what goes on. And you just have people who are just fluent in meeting and greeting people, and they're having lovely conversations, but they really aren't doing anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm here to change all of that.
Which is true, man, because I've unofficially come to you for so many of my huge decisions in my life.
Yeah.
You know, especially with the business.
Scares the hell out of me, Freddie. I'm afraid to take your calls sometimes. It's like life and death stuff.
Well, that last big one was amazing.
That was.
And you were just like, I was like, John, I put out the biggest proposal of my life, and this is the number, and you know, now they came back at me, they want to bring it down, and you were just like,
but what did I ask you?
You worth it?
Are you worth it?
And I was like, of course. He's like, so why the fuck are you talking to me? In so many words.
I didn't exactly say it.
No, of course not. I always like to, give it color. Yeah. I always like to colorize the decisions people tell me.
Right.
You know, and I was like, you're fucking.
Yeah.
You know, but and I went back to it, and I wrote him back saying, nah, man, this is what it is.
Yeah.
And they accepted it.
Yeah.
And I was like, fucking John Whitehall.
Look at you.
That's exactly what I said in my head. It's like, fucking John Whitehall.
I said, fucking Freddie. He rules.
But we've been doing that for years, though.
Yeah.
Normally, when I was at Morgantown Road, it was over Mimo's Pizza.
Yep.
And now it's probably more like Cloud Niners now.
Yeah.
You know, so we went from Mimo's to Cloud Nine.
We're healthier.
Yeah.
We've made
we
that
have to
step
be
in our
healthier,
lives.
right?
Yeah.
So, but it's been a long, it's been kind of a long road. But you know, here when you're starting this new business makes total sense to me.
Yeah.
You know, the coaching part, I mean, I know you're great at it. You're a natural at it. And you're not just a coach on social media. Like I've been through your sales course. I've been through having our meetings. I've been through asking for advice. It's not just sales all the time. It's also how you live your life. And you can take a lot of things that you've taught me and that you're probably going to teach all these new people. And like you said earlier, put them towards everyday life decisions.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the beauty of finding the right coach, you know, no matter what you're doing in your life, because I don't know about you, but when I have coaches in my life or mentors, you don't just use them for the one thing, right? Like I'm not just calling you saying, hey, John, how do I get this proposal?
Yeah,
it's like,
not
no.
a help desk.
Right. You know, but it's also like, John, I fucking like shit. And I don't know why I'm doing this way, man. Like, and then you don't judge, you know, which is the number one thing. You're like, well, why did you do that? Or like, you know, why did you think it's going this way? Why do you think it's going to go that way? Or whatever the case is. And we've shared things in our lives, you know.
And we sure have.
And that's the thing, though. It's like finding the right person is not just about maybe that subject, it's about everything overall. That's very beneficial.
Yeah. You have to have trust because if you don't have trust, you won't have the truth.
That's true, man.
That's really, think, let's go back to our sales example. Hi, can I help you? No, I'm just looking.
Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't be a store if you weren't shopping for something.
Right.
Unless you're just love browsing or something like that. But we're deceptive because we don't trust that person. We're afraid they're going to make us buy something or do something we're not going to do. So creating a safe space where there's trust and honesty, that's really where things can change and things can really happen. But the most important thing is understanding the goals of the person who you're coaching. And they're going to have professional goals and they're going to have business goals. And the important thing to do is to tie them together.
Yeah.
Because think about your personal goal of moving to Tampa and kicking up your feet and relaxing the rest of your life. Doesn't happen unless you reach your business goals.
Right.
And too many times I think coaches really ignore that piece.
Yeah. It's almost like they're there just to make you feel good about what you're already doing, almost to justify it. And then they go, oh, thanks. And then you pay them and you move on with your life because you feel better about what you're doing.
Right.
Where they really need to probably kick your ass and tell you, hey, bud, and tell you some shit you don't want to hear.
We got to make you feel a little bit uncomfortable.
Right.
Right. We got to get to the pain. We got to get to the problem.
Always.
Yeah.
Pain points, baby.
Yeah.
That's how you get everything in life. You figure out the pain points are.
That's right.
Exploit those bad boys.
That's right.
Like that check, baby.
Money, money, money,
money, money, money, money. John, I appreciate you coming in, brother.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm always honored to be here, and it's always great to be with you. I feel like we're at lunch. These are the kind of conversations we're always having.
I know. It's just so many conversations we've had in the past where I'm like, damn, that would have been a good podcast or something, But then again, I feel like when you put when the tape's on recording, people do change a little.
Yeah,
just a little bit.
But I think you and I were pretty authentic today.
No, for sure. But there's some people where you'd be surprised at how before we say we're on, the conversations is like, and we're recording. Okay. Yes. So what else? It just totally changes, man.
We make an adjustment to support
fear
our
of
roles.
Judgment, boy. Yeah. Fear of judgment. Good luck, John. I mean, I appreciate everything you've done for me. I know you're going to be successful. Everyone who's out there, check out johnwhitehall.com. That's going to be launching real soon. And hire this man. Please do yourself a favor. Literally, I had 2 clients. I met John. I have 200. And that's really not bullshit. I could sit there and say it's you were maybe client number 4 or 5 at the time. And now it's just,
wow.
You see it all. I tell everybody, I'm like, John Whitehall was one of the biggest reasons why I got to where I was.
Isn't that great? Thank you so much. I'm very flattered and honored to be here. Anytime you want me here, just short notice, I'm here.
I know it, baby. All right, I'll do it real soon again.
Thank you, Freddie.
Hey, thanks for checking out this episode of Fred Talk. If you totally got into what you just saw, make sure you like and subscribe so you never miss another episode. Check out the playlist because there's other cool people too. And if you can't watch all the time, check it out on any podcast outlet. Don't forget, your Uncle Freddie loves you. Peace.